Welcome to another exciting episode of Starfleet Cinema, where we take a look at Star Trek talent contributions to non-Star Trek media. In today's episode, we examine a cult classic Disney animated film that, believe it or not, turns a quarter of a century old this year in 2026. Does that make me feel old? Originally released in theaters in the United States on June 15, 2001, Atlantis-The Lost Empire was the 41st film in the Walt Disney Animation Studios official canon. See the Day 1 episode of NeoBlisseyX versus the MGM Studios 31-Day Movie Challenge on Oliver & Company for details, link in the description, and was also the first science fiction film in that official canon. Set in 1914, this film follows a linguist who joins an expedition to locate the lost kingdom of Atlantis, but must reluctantly defend it from elements of the expedition's leadership, who seek to use Atlantis' ancient technology for its own dastardly ends. Following the box office failure of Atlantis, various projects meant to expand the world of the film were scrapped. One of those was a planned spin-off animated television series entitled Team Atlantis. The series would have followed the expedition team as they traveled the world to solve supernatural mysteries that would have been revealed to be based on Atlantean technology. Prior to the cancellation, 3 episodes of Team Atlantis were completed. They were re-edited into a direct-to-video sequel film that we are also profiling in this episode. Originally released as a direct-to-video film on May 20th, 2003, Atlantis, MILO'S Return was comprised of the 3 completed Team Atlantis episodes, re-edited to include Milo Thatch and Kida, who were not meant to appear as regular characters in the original plans for the Team Atlantis series. One of the most famous ideas for an unproduced episode of Team Atlantis will be discussed at the end of this video, so please look forward to it. For this video, we will split our profiles into 3 categories. Performers whose characters or contributions span both films, performers whose characters or contributions affect only Atlantis-The Lost Empire, and performers whose contributions affect only Atlantis Milo's Return. If you wish to jump directly to a particular category, you can use the timecodes located in the description. With the preliminaries out of the way, let's get started. Born Corey Greg Weinberg in the Granada Hills area of Los Angeles, California, United States on August 3, 1955, Corey Burton portrayed the voice of Gaetan Moliere in both Atlantis films. For Star Trek, Burton contributed additional voices to the computer software program Star Trek Starfleet Command Orion Pirates, an expansion pack for the 2000 computer game Star Trek Starfleet Command 2 Empires at War. Previously profiled in our Starfleet Cinema episode on Superman Red Sun for his voice role as that film's version of James Olsen, link in the description, Phil Morris performed the voice of Dr. Joshua Strong Bear Sweet, chief physician of the Whitmore expedition in both Atlantis films. Previously profiled in our Starfleet Cinema episode on the Transformers the movie for his voice role as Galvatron, link in the description, late multi-hyphenate Leonard Nimoy portrayed the voice of King Kasakim Nadak, father of female protagonist Kida Gagash, Kida for short, exclusively in Atlantis-The Lost Empire. Born in Los Angeles, California, United States on July 3, 1948, linguist Dr. Mark Okrand created the Atlantean language used in Atlantis-The Lost Empire. He was also the original reference model for the design of male protagonist Milo Thatch. For Star Trek, Okrand is most known for refining the Klingon language originally created for Star Trek the Motion Picture by Scotty actor James Doohan into the Klingon language as it is used today, starting with the 1984 motion picture Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. Okrand also created the Vulcan dialogue heard in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and contributed the Kelpian language dialogue heard in Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. Previously profiled in our Starfleet Cinema episode A Tribute to Roger Allers for his voice role of Cogsworth from 1991's Beauty and the Beast, and our Starfleet Cinema episode on 1996's The Hunchback of Notre Dame for his role as the Archdeacon, links in the description. Late actor David Ogden Stiers appeared in Atlantis-The Lost Empire as the voice of Fenton Q. Harcourt, one of the heads of the Smithsonian Institution and Milo's boss. Harcourt laughs off Milo's proposal to seek out Atlantis based on the Shepherd's Journal. Previously profiled in the videos in our NeoBlisseyX vs. Presents Starring Jim Cummings playlist, link in the description. Jim Cummings contributed miscellaneous voices to Atlantis-The Lost Empire. Previously profiled in our Starfleet Cinema episodes on the Incredibles franchise and Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, for his voice roles as Reflex from Incredibles 2 and the English voice of Colonel Roy Campbell, respectively, links in the description. Paul Eiding was a member of the Loop Group on Atlantis-The Lost Empire. He can be heard as a Whitmore Expedition Sergeant, among other characters. Previously profiled as the characters Hakon, Wolf, and Tomas Brode in our video NeoBlisseyX vs. Presents Gargoyles vs. Star Trek 30 Years Later, link in the description, Clancy Brown provided the voice of Edgar Volgood, mayor of Krakenstaff and antagonist of the first segment in Atlantis, Milo's Return. Previously profiled as Biff Tannen and ancestor Buford Mad Dog Tannen in our Starfleet Cinema episode on the Back to the Future trilogy, link in the description. Thomas F. Wilson provided the voice of Trading Post owner and second segment antagonist Ashton Carnaby in Atlantis, Milo's Return. As part of my research for this video, I also learned that Wilson provided the voice of Matt Bluestone, partner of Sally Richardson's Elisa Maza, in the 1994 to 1996 series Gargoyles. I did not discover this information until after the publication of the recent Star Trek 60th Anniversary Extended Edition of NeoBlisseyX vs. Presents Gargoyles vs. Star Trek 30 Years Later. I humbly apologize for this oversight. Previously profiled as multiple characters in NeoBlisseyX vs. Presents Gargoyles vs. Star Trek 30 Years Later, late actor W. Morgan Shepard portrayed the voice of Eric Hellstrom, antagonist of the final segment in Atlantis, Milo's Return. Previously profiled in our Starfleet Cinema episode on Chippendale Rescue Rangers for his role as Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast, and for his multiple characters in NeoBlisseyX vs. Presents Gargoyles vs. Star Trek 30 Years Later. Actor Jeff Bennett provided the voice of artifact hunter Sam McKean in Atlantis, Milo's Return. Previously profiled in the videos seen in our NeoBlisseyX vs. Presents Starring Frank Welker playlist, link in the description, Frank Welker provided the voice of Abby, the pet Obi Dalbetsugs, Lava Dog, of Milo and Kida in Atlantis, Milo's Return. Previously profiled in our Starfleet Cinema episode on Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2, for her English language role of Amanda Valenciano Libre in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, link in the description. Gray Griffin, under the name Gray Delisle, provided miscellaneous voices for Atlantis, Milo's Return. Born in Providence, Rhode Island, United States on January 3, 1975, actor Jason Marsden provided the uncredited voice of Raymond Marr in the 5th season Star Trek The Next Generation episode Silicon Avatar, and also portrayed striking Ferengi waiter Grimp in the 4th season Deep Space Nine episode Bar Association. Marsden, best known for voice work including as Max Goof in Disney's 1995 film A Goofy Movie, provided miscellaneous voices for Atlantis, Milo's Return. One of the most famous unproduced episode ideas created for Team Atlantis was to be titled The Last. The Last would have been a crossover with Disney's 1994 to 1996 animated television series Gargoyles. See our NeoBlisseyX vs. Presents Gargoyles vs. Star Trek 30 Years Later video for details. That would have seen Team Atlantis take on Gargoyles' lead gargoyle antagonist Demona in 1920s Paris, as she would try to use the praying gargoyle statue, as seen in the Gargoyles episode Hunter's Moon Part 3, to bring the local stone gargoyles to life and kill all humans. Here's what we know about The Last as of this recording. The Last would have been written by Greg Wiseman, creator of Gargoyles. The episode would have featured Marina Sirtis, Deanna Troi from Star Trek The Next Generation, Voyager, etc., returning to voice Demona. Demona would not have been referred to in the episode by that name had it been produced. Instead, Demona was referred to in the script as the Gorloi, Gorloi being the Atlantean word for gargoyle. Sheena Easton, who portrayed the voice of Hunter Robin Canmore in the aforementioned Hunter's Moon Part 3 episode of the Gargoyle series, would have voiced Fiona Canmore, Robin's ancestor and a former acquaintance of Dr. Sweet. Greg Wiseman declared certain elements of The Last to be canonical to the Gargoyles universe he created for his so-called master plan, while other Team Atlantis elements were deemed apocryphal due to Wiseman having his own plans for those elements. A link to the Garg Wiki page on The Last can be found in the description field below this video.